Right, I think that's about the appropriate amount of wasting and sitting around. Let's just get into it then. Are you still there, Martin?
Howdy.
You are. Let me just adjust my volume. Speak again, quick.
Howdy again.
Hello. Now you're a bit soft. Hang on. Did we change something? Maybe I changed something. One more time?
Not from my end. No.
Oh, it might be on my side. Alright, anyway, here we go. Fresh to Chess Mortal Journey. Made up the name just a second ago. For those who don't know, Mortalmort has been in a lot of the stream chats, and we have slowly been siren song calling him to try out chess for himself. He hasn't really played much at all, I think. But we're going to get into this. So, Martin, I sent you my little notes, right? And I thought it would be kind of fun for us to like talk through a few of these things beforehand, and then I got a few. I thought like I can give a few like basic things and my suggestion on how I think you could proceed, not being a experienced or
Okay.
licensed or even remotely respectable coach, just someone who's messed around with chess a lot. Um,
Gotta get that
you
disclaimer
gotta
in
get
there.
that in there, right? This is not financial advice. Attend to your own financial advisor if you do something like that. All right. I should have put in a little picture for your face. If we do this again in the future, I'll make a little picture for your face. But for now, we'll just go with it. If anyone is watching, please tell me if Martin and my voices are kind of level. I tested beforehand. I think it's pretty good, but it could be that my testing was a disaster and it turns out to be terrible. Anyway, let's get into. Oh, hang on. Okay, actually, before we look at the profile, because now you've got a profile on Leeches, right? I got, and you can see the
Yeah.
notes I sent you. I've got three kind of points that I thought we
Wait,
could say.
I still only have them in Steam. I don't know if I
Oh,
can
it's
go that
fine. I'll
far
just
back.
read it to you here. So the first question was,
Fair enough.
what is your experience or exposure to chess? Because I'm keen to kind of follow what happens with you from this chat to like in a week or two again. I mean, we can try weekly, we can try bi-weekly, or again like in a month or so to see what happened. So I'm kind of want to like set the groundwork and my understanding. So what exactly is your understanding or experience of chess up to date?
Well, up to date, I've now done a couple of the Lead Chess, like what do you call it, the puzzles or the
Oh
learn?
yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
okay.
the chess
Yeah, yeah,
basics,
yeah.
which I've done the chess basics
Oh wow,
100%,
okay.
and then I started doing practice. I'm at about
Oh
60%
wow,
of
okay,
the
yeah, yeah.
practice for like checkmate tactics. I kind of feel like all I'm doing is brute forcing
Meaning
the
what?
answer, where it's like, oh, there's only so many moves. Well, it'll give me like a thing of like
Yeah,
he's like
yeah.
three pieces on the board. What's the best next move? And then it's like I try one and it's not
Yeah.
it, and then I try another. Like I'm kind of just blundering my way through, and then it's like I'm not retaining the information because yeah, I like
Understood.
it seems like there's a lot of studying involved.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
Which
yes or no,
obviously,
we'll
when
see
you
if
want to
it's
get to a
study,
certain
but yeah.
level, there's going to be
Understood. I'm opening it
because a
up
lot of it is
here. I've never done these
pat.
myself. It looks pretty good actually. The kind of learn and practice buckets look pretty good.
Yeah, especially hard the bishop it moves
Yeah.
diagonally. Like a lot of that is like very
Yeah.
basic and like very fundamental. But I mean, I never knew about there's like a that move with your pawn where if their pawn double
Yeah.
moves past you, you can take him
Oh,
as
en
if it's
passant,
like a
yes.
normal move. Yeah, I can never see the purpose for the guy trying to double move there if he knows that you can do that.
Ah, okay, I understand.
Like it doesn't make sense for him to, like I can see the move. I don't
Yeah, like
understand the
what's the point?
purpose of that move ever existing in real
Okay,
play.
okay.
Like, does that ever come up?
All right. So is all of this
But I
chess,
never knew about it.
everything chess related is happening kind of recently, or is this stuff from like a few years ago you were doing as well?
No, this is all recent. This is probably weeks after I started watching you, and obviously you having leeches like advertising in your stream all the time. I made a profile, and then like while I'll have you on, if you're playing your either your 45
Yeah.
45, although with those ones not, but with your other ones where you're just doing your voter chess, I'll have you on my second monitor just kind of chatting through it, and then I'll be doing the little
Oh, very
practicing.
cool. Okay. I'm
Um,
glad to be involved in that, but that sounds kind of
yeah,
nice actually.
the
Okay, okay. All right, and so
it's more just the ADD, like if there's a lull in what you're
yeah,
doing when
you want
you're
to do
playing,
something else.
uh, waiting for them to move, I'm kind of
We
just
are
doing something
all
as
that
well.
kind
Yeah.
of person nowadays, I guess. I feel the same way. I'm always trying to like find more things to do at the same time because it's not sufficient. Okay, hang on. So that's kind of your
Indeed.
general experience. I got an idea. So I thought I could ask you to kind of try and formulate just roughly what would be like the goal here in terms of getting into chess. Would there be any kind of way for you to go, oh yeah, okay, success?
Um, Probably being able to hold my own against an actual human opponent.
That is a good goal. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. No worries. Um,
I'd say within the first 5 moves to not look like I don't know what I'm doing.
okay, cool. So I'm actually going to write that down for like review if we come back to this in a few weeks or something. So hold own versus people
Which
and
is also a catch 22 because I'm not that keen on like learning complete like
yeah,
openings. You seem very knowledgeable whenever you're like, oh, this is the
something,
fianchetto, this is a
something.
nimzo. Like I've heard all these words that you're saying now, and I know the
Yeah,
phrases. But if you had to show me the board and say do a nimzo, I don't actually know what it is.
understood.
Um,
Understood. Um,
but I also have kind of no intention again to go and
yeah,
study it.
that's fine.
Like so if it comes up organically, then that
Cool.
works. And it's probably cool to hear like the reasoning behind it. Like why is this nimzo? Why does it work? What is it defending? What is the what is the purpose behind playing in that
Yeah,
position?
happiness.
If that makes sense.
Okay, that makes enough sense. So that's all good, thank you. And then the last question I had for you was what kind of time commitment and I would say make this like really easily achievable. So like how much time do you think you're gonna put into chess, even on like a weekly basis or whatever, just in general? Is it like 5 minutes a day? Is it like 4 hours over the weekend? Or what kind of like based on what you've done the last
um,
while, what do you think it looks like?
I'd say easily on average 10-15 minutes a day, and then possibly on weekends like
Okay.
longer. Um, at the moment, my time span is obviously quite short. I'm not going to be thinking about a move for 10 minutes
Yeah.
at a time. I'm going to be playing an entire game in like 10, 15
Okay, all
minutes.
good.
So that would probably increase over
Okay,
time.
okay. All right, that's fair. And
But
you've played some
but yeah,
games against
obviously
the
the time
computer,
zone
right?
is a bit of a issue. Indeed.
Okay. And
I did beat the level 3 now,
when you say you beat the level
but he
3,
blundered he blundered his queen.
where do you
So when you create a game,
Oh,
you
yeah.
play with the
Okay.
computer.
Strength level
You
3.
say
Fairy
level.
Stockfish 14 level 3. Okay. Do you put a time control on or is it unlimited when you play?
Yeah.
5 plus 5. Okay.
Second
I
fold.
got it. I got it, yeah.
Yeah. The first time I did it, I
Oh,
did it
yeah.
by correspondence. And I didn't really realize that that's
Yeah,
like
that's old school stuff,
seven.
man. Okay, fair enough. All right, okay, so you're playing kind of like a 5 plus 5 now and then. All right, that's clear. That's fair. I had some like, hmm. So my idea was, after kind of getting a feel for this, was I was gonna suggest a few things, and I thought I would kind of explain a few basic things about chess. Not because I think you're gonna remember everything, but maybe some of it kind of makes sense. And I thought we could kind of end
Okay.
up with like, okay, so what's the approach that you think you might want to take then in the next day, week, whatever month it is? So that if we were to chat again, you could say, this is what I was doing and this is kind of how I'm feeling about it now, or whatever it is like that. I can catch up on your status and your feeling about
Yeah.
things. Does that make sense to a degree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that openings is kind of a place to start because that's literally how you start the game. And at
Uh,
the moment, I'm blindly doing things
yeah.
and trying to copy some of the stuff I've seen you
Well,
do. But I don't,
yeah, I've got good
you
and
know.
bad news about that because I think actually the suggestion is going to be don't learn openings. But I'll we'll get there in a second. Let me just okay. So you know all the pieces, obviously. You know the
Oh,
coordinates. You know file A to H. You know row 1 to 8.
I mean, I still have to kind of, in the same way that a 4-year-old has to count on their
Yeah. You have
fingers.
to
I
double
kind of
check
still
which
have
one
to
it
like,
was, but you at least understand the thing about it, right?
yeah.
Okay. You understand that you can castle in both directions with your king.
Yes, that you or one of your streams taught me where you were like, oh, he's castling on the queen
Yes. Oh,
side.
yeah.
And I was like, oh,
That
that's a thing.
sounds like a very natural way
Okay.
to say it, castling on the queen side. Okay, cool. You just mentioned the whole thing about en passant, where you would you would be able to take someone else's pawn if it moves 2 pieces past you, as if it only moved one square forward. So you got the idea of
Twice.
that.
Um,
You understand the difference between check and
yeah.
checkmate, obviously. You've been doing quite a bit of like the basic practice stuff already, so I think that's pretty good. So I can share kind of like a few basic things, and then what I would suggest you do if you wanted to improve, if you felt comfortable with it. I'm going to open up just like a random board here, so when I'm talking, there's something to look at. But I know you're not actually looking at the stream, so I don't know. If you want to, you can open up the. Oh, you know what? You know what? I know you've played against a
Mm.
computer, right? So I'm actually going
Yeah.
to go to your profile quickly. Double check here. The
Okay.
profile opened up on May 28, 2025. Oh, literally like 2 weeks ago. You opened up this profile. And you've done a few puzzles on it, and you've played
No,
some rapid games, tactic puzzles. Um, yeah, okay, very good. So I'm going to open up one of these games. I'm going to open up your. Let's look for something where you kind of went into the end. Okay, I'm gonna go into.
yeah, because a lot of them I give up like halfway through. Where as I
Yeah.
move, I
Well,
realize
there's
I've
there's one
blundered,
that
so
was
I'm just like, oh
82
crap,
moves
resign, start
long.
again.
So 2 weeks ago, 10 plus 10 rapid casual versus Stockfish level 2, and you resigned. Um, which is fine. I want to have a game on the board to talk with you about. I don't know if you know the game I'm opening up now. It doesn't really matter. Um, so
No, I see it. Yeah, 2 weeks ago,
I should actually be sharing my
black resigned,
screen
white is
now.
victorious.
Okay. Actually, maybe I can. 1 second. Can I share my screen at the same time? Share a screen with others. Um, doo, doo, doo. It's a lot of. Which one are we looking at? Control room,
No,
Mozilla
I think I got
Firefox.
it on
This
my
is
side.
okay. This is it. All right. I'm gonna share my screen. Tell me if you can see it. Can you see the chessboard inside the OBS Ninja room?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
perfect, cool. So you
Okay.
can like look at what I'm talking about when I'm talking, okay? All right, so you can see me like scrolling up and down on the chessboard.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, let's go then. So the first thing I wanted to do is, so here's the computer analysis you can request for any game that's finished. Very easy. You basically just click on it, and then all of this, like a lot of information will come up here about how good each player played, roughly accuracy in terms of the amount of best moves they played versus not, and inaccuracies, mistakes, blunders. There's a lot of information here. We don't need all of it. And you'll see that the graph in this case kind of goes just white and then black to the middle and then white and back to the middle. And then here and there it goes to black. So that's kind of basically what the engine thinks the position is really good for one color or the other. But I think you kind of know this already, maybe once or twice. All right,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, from
what you'll
your
also see
games.
here is that there's some lines here. It says opening kind of faintly at the start, and then middle game, and then end game. Do you see that?
Yeah, I'm guessing the end game is when there's like less than X amount of pieces left on
Something
the
like
board or
that,
something like
yes.
that.
So the reason I thought I should just point this out is I think based on what your goal shared was, I would say you basically want to make it to the middle game without being completely lost, which roughly speaking means you want to be able to have developed your pieces and maybe castled and not be losing. So you want to have like a setup
Yeah,
position.
not be massively
Yeah,
disadvantaged.
yeah, or like this massively disadvantaged or whatever it is. All right, so that's the first thing that I thought I should just kind of mention. And then the other thing was instead of openings, I think you can probably check it on Chess Basics. Um, would there be opening principles here somewhere? I don't think. I mean, you could find something on YouTube very easy if you wanted to watch it. But very basically, let me actually just go back to the board. In terms of opening principles, so you were black in this game, right? Oh, let me just go to the top. Um, basically, you want to try and control this middle of the board so that, like, control the center with pawns and pieces. The middle, the center, like the actual green boxes, but also the red ones around it. Everything here is kind of chessboard is kind of like a hill. So whoever's kind of controlling the center has most mobility, most chances to do stuff. And that's why you see people playing their
Okay.
pawns up into the center, e5, d5, or e4, d4. And that's why you see them bringing out their knights to the center. And now the bishops always come out. That's why things like this happen, because the person who controls the center tends to have an easier game. So that's one of the kind of like opening principles to consider. If you're trying to make a move, you want to put something towards the center of the board. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah,
Indeed,
so
yeah.
if you're playing h5 and this move is black, let's make it white. If you're playing h4 as white here, it's not immediately losing, but opening principle wise, you're not really like trying to control the center, and that's probably the best kind of move you can make is to try and control the center. That's number one. And then number two, in terms of your pieces, your king obviously has to go to safety. And then you'll maybe sometimes hear rooks and the queen are referred to as heavy pieces, and your knights and your bishops are referred to as minor pieces. I don't know if you've heard that, to be honest.
Ah, okay.
Um,
I've heard of minor
yeah, yeah,
pieces,
yeah.
but now I know exactly which ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
yeah,
there's kind of like a thing like knights before bishops. So try and develop your knights first, probably to their natural squares, like if you're white to f3 and to c3, these two squares here. So this is kind of like a natural development for the knight. Obviously, it can't always do that, but if it can, that's normally a good square for it. And the reason that you put your knights out first is also because they're slightly less mobile. Bishops can go back and forth as far as they want on any color or on any diagonal that they're on, right? But knights can only jump a certain distance every time. So if you move them out
yeah,
first, at least, when the knight comes out to f3, it's covering some of the center squares. And the bishop can still move, as far as you need it to later on and come back, but the knight is at least kind of set. So that's like an easy thing to remember, but basically you want to develop all your minor pieces and castle. So you want to control the center. You want to, so just very basic of like what kind of like an opening might look like. I'm just going to make some basic moves here. White has pushed the pawn into the center. That's a basic one. White has developed their minor pieces. That's a basic one. And white has castled. So this is almost a complete success already in terms of getting the opening done. Half your board is developed. You've got some control in the center of the board. And now you only have to do the same thing with the other pieces here on the minor side, on the queen side. And then if you get your, let's continue a bit further. I don't know, I'm just gonna, apologies, I'm just gonna make some moves. I'm sure some of this is absolute trash, but yeah, everyone's doing the same thing. At this point, you've developed all your minor pieces. You've got some pawns in the center, and you've picked your queen off the back rank, which means your rooks are now connected. And connected rooks in the long term is kind of good, but this is basically, I think, what your goal is for the opening of the game. If you can get here without dropping a piece, without dropping all the pawns, I think that's already really good. Does that look like an acceptable thing to start for?
Sure, it's one thing in theory, though. Obviously, it's another to
Oh,
pull it off.
absolutely, absolutely. But the way you get here is I'm pushing some pawns in the center where they can go, and I'm putting my minus pieces out, and I'm castling, and I'm putting my queen off the back rank. So it might not always look like this, but this is basically still very standard opening principles. And so if you think about studying openings, openings is just kind of a pattern that's based on what your opponent does or what you want to do. And you might have heard, maybe you haven't heard about like the London system, which is one of the openings that's very popular for white. The reason is that you can almost always do it regardless of what black's doing. So you can kind of close your eyes and make the same 5, 6 moves, and then you're in the middle game. So you've succeeded because you don't have to worry about what black's doing. And that's okay, but
Yeah,
that
that
means
sounds
you
like a very
always play the same
beginner-friendly.
game basically. So it's a little bit, yeah, not so fun maybe in the long term. But okay, so in terms of opening study, we're not going to do any of that. I would say just end up like trying to focus on getting pieces and pawns into the center to control the center board. Try and get your king castled as soon as you can, and then get your queen off the back rank. And then from there you can lose all your pieces and stuff again. But if you can get to that step consistently, then you're in pretty great shape, I would say. So good so far?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, makes
The
sense.
other thing, yeah,
Although, yeah, getting the queen off the back rank is new
yeah,
to
yeah,
me
yeah.
in
So
terms of like
the queen
the
is a
queen.
heavy piece, right? But ideally, you want your two rooks to be connected, and this doesn't matter at the start of the game normally, but later on, it's really good to have them being able to protect each other. Because they'll often end up in a case where there's like an open file and then there's a rook on both sides, and you don't want to protect it with the minor piece because then the minor piece is going to go sit in the back of the board again, and you want it to be protecting the center. So it's easier, it's better if they are talking to each other directly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right. I wrote down a whole bunch of other stuff, but I actually think it's going to become too much and kind of rather silly. So I would say the opening principle about trying to contain the center, developing your minor pieces just to their natural-ish squares or anywhere that feels comfortable. Like this bishop could have come here. That makes perfect sense still as well. And then just castling. If you can do that every game, you're on to a pretty good start. And I think you'll find that your initial goal is very easily reachable if you just build kind of basic habits like that. Um,
Okay.
then
So did I set two easy goals for myself?
Yeah, I think you'll find that there are a lot of people who are worse than you already if you start playing. So I suggested don't play any people until we spoke, but I would say from now on, don't play the computer anymore. Only play people. Yeah,
Oh,
because the computer is supposed
okay.
to replicate it. By the end of the day, you want to play chess against other people. So just play against people, you know. Sometimes you'll get your ass handed to you. Sometimes the other person will like look like they've never looked at the board before and just move one thing back and forth because they don't know what's going on at all. But it's much more authentic if you're just dealing with people than dealing with a computer. Because the computer is made to like make silly mistakes and stuff, but you've got the entire world to play against, and the system will always put you roughly against someone who seems to be at your level ish. So yeah, no more computer games. I would say just go play against people. If you get your ass handed to you, have your ass handed to you. Just chill out. Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Understood. I'll go
The
and do
other
that.
thing is you said you play 5+5, but you did play 10+10 as well, right? Um, you,
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the actual length of
oh,
the
they're pretty
game,
short.
I'm pretty sure whether it was 5 by 5 or 10 plus
Okay,
10,
fair
yeah,
enough.
I'm making the move within 10
Okay,
seconds.
fair enough. So any time control is fine. To improve at chess, you need to think, unfortunately. Which, for instance, I just want to be better. I don't actually want to sit here and like have a long think every day about the move I want to make and try and beat someone. I just want to win, but that doesn't work, right? Unless you're some amazing chess prodigy, you got to actually just sit down and think about your move, which means you need time to think. So if you play 5+5, you don't really give yourself a lot of time to think before you run out of time, which means you have to move quite frequently all the time, and you never really think about your move, which means you're not building any knowledge and experience about what actually is happening on the board. You don't remember because a big part of chess is just pattern recognition. So and this is where like opening names help, because you kind of know, oh, that pattern has this name. But it's not about the openings. It's just, when I've got this kind of pawn structure, like the pawns are like this in front of me. Oh, yes, last time I lost because the guy did this. And then you can go, okay, well, this time I should try and avoid that or whatever. But it's not easy to do if you look at that position for like a millisecond and move. So the ideal that I actually took it from that guy that I covered in um, the stream this morning for me, John Bartholomew. Back in the day when I was watching his videos when I got into chess, he said try to play longer time controls up to maybe something like 15 plus 10, which is why my road to better chess is still 15 plus 10, because it's enough time, and it's not always enough time actually for me, but it's kind of enough time to really think, right? Yeah. So to try and be able to consider the situation, make a decision, so that next time I'm in that situation, I can remember it. If I go too fast, I actually don't build much experience, and the progress I'm trying to make kind of falls out. So if you want to play 5 plus 5, obviously go right ahead. If you want to play 10 plus 10, go right ahead. Just understand that to get more comfortable and to start remembering stuff, you need to spend a bit of time looking at the position, and it's easier if you don't play too fast. So consider for yourself whatever time control you want to do. 10 plus 10 I thought looked pretty great, by the way, if you can still manage that. If you want to do 5 plus 5, all good, but longer is probably a little bit better.
So how would I then go about training myself to think more about the
Yeah,
position?
that's a fair question.
Like,
The practice stuff you've done already, right? The puzzles and the tactics, all of that stuff helps. And the other thing that helps is just you gaining experience, losing and winning games, and being like, oh, well, last time I tried to do this, and I'm going to try it again, or I didn't like it, I'm going to try something else. Because, let me go back to the practice thing. You had, like, checkmate patterns, for instance, right?
yeah.
Checkmate patterns are going to come up on your games at some point, and the only reason you'll recognize them is because you've seen the pattern somewhere else. That's why the practice includes things like this. It might not look exactly the same, but it will be basically the same pattern again at some point. So getting better a lot of the time is just being able to be like, hang on, I think I've seen this situation before, and I kind of remember this is pretty good because of XYZ. And sometimes you don't know what the reason is, you just remember it was a good move, and sometimes you don't remember anything except, oh, I've seen this before, and then hopefully by the third time you'll remember it. But yeah, all this kind of practice and puzzles you're doing, all of that will help. But you got to connect that with just kind of slowing down opening wise, because the puzzles are always kind of mid game, right? And the checkmate patterns are end of the game normally, so it's not connecting directly with your current playing, because you're, I don't know, I think it's going a little bit fast. That's kind of my thinking about it. Still with me?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had one more thing then for you, and I thought I would go to your very latest game. Let me find. Alright, 5 plus 5 casual stockfish level 3 versus you, right? Okay, can you still see this?
Yeah, although your audio is cutting out
Oh
every now
no,
and then, but it does catch up.
is it okay now? I didn't do anything different, I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Alright,
Okay.
so,
Every now and then you do that computer
oh
voice.
no. Alright, maybe my connection sucks. The other thing that I would suggest, and maybe this also adds a bit to your how do I go about improving and stuff, is when you finish the game, like I do, like you've done before, do a bit of that analysis for yourself. But you're never going to remember everything. You probably won't do all of the moves the same way again. So I would say focus a little bit more on the start of the game, like the first 10 moves. Like for instance, this game, you were black, right? So d4, d5, that looks good. c4, e6 still looks great. Knight c3, c6 also great. Knight f3, knight f6 still perfectly good. e3, bishop d6 perfectly good. Knight d5, castle. I mean, this is an amazing game already. You've got your pawns going into the center, you've developed minor pieces, you've castled. So you're halfway to finishing your opening. c5, a little bit of a mistake by the machine apparently. Bishop c7, you saw your bishop was under attack, fantastic. h4, and then you played knight e4, and suddenly um, the engine says, oh, that was not the best move, but you're not losing, right? So whatever. Bishop d3, takes the knight, and queen h5. Oh, and then you'll move g6. Alright, so up to this point, maybe even just the first 10 moves, just have a look there and try and see what you could have done differently. And I just realized I didn't tell you one more opening principle. I'm so sorry, I think I forgot this one. So up to here, amazing stuff. Right? You put pawns into the center of the board, you developed some minor pieces, and you castled. That's perfect. They attacked your bishop, so you moved it. Also perfect. And now from here, after h4, like, what do you think you're still missing in your position right now? And this is very basic. Like, we just spoke about kind of the general stuff you can try do at the start of the game. So what have you done? What is the part that we're still missing here? If I can be so blunt as to ask you the question.
Well, I kind
Okay.
of it gets to there's a word for it where it's like the best move then is just to not move. I've set up my defenses all nice and neat, and
Okay.
now I don't actually want to go anywhere because any
It
move
could
I
be,
make now I
but you haven't finished developing your pieces. These guys are still sitting here and your queen isn't off the back rank. That's kind of what I'm pointing out. So you've done the basic part on your king side, but your queen side hasn't moved. So you kind of still have to move that, yes?
yes, but you see, I'm already thinking
Yeah.
when I look at that board now as is, I would want to move my knight, and I think I thought of that, but I moved my knight
You want to
first
move your bishop to
because
a5
I want
so you can put your knight e4. Oh, to pin their knight so it can't take. That's getting fancy, yeah.
yeah.
You can. That's perfectly fine. Probably just the point being, you've done this. All of this is looking great. This is not finished yet. And you'll find a lot of the time the person who just finishes their development first compared to the person who doesn't, they end up with like a better middle game, a better game because their pieces are active. They can make decisions about attacking and defending. Because these guys currently can't do shit, right? They're just sitting here. This guy's stuck in the
Yeah,
corner.
but
Yeah,
but at the same time, they're all stuck.
yeah,
The
yeah.
bishop literally only has one square he can. Mean that my opening moves were not
No, your
so
opening moves were
successful
perfectly
because
fine.
I've
You just have to
smothered
continue
their
still.
own
So
positions.
I suggested that you should try and move your knights before your bishops because they're a bit less flexible. So either of these moves would have been
And now I
acceptable,
can
I would
see
say,
why.
actually.
Yeah.
But probably the most kind of safe looking one is just to put it on d7 because you can just retake with your queen of your bishop if they take it.
Or even the knight.
Yeah, or back with the knight if you want to get fancy. But I would say in this position, if our goal is to develop our minor pieces, just take with the bishop. Then that's one more step complete.
Yeah, 2 for
Yeah,
1.
exactly. And now they still want a castle, so they do this. And then you had one more point about getting your queen off the back rank. It only has one square. Great. And then this is basically, you've done your opening development now. You're finished. You're very passive. You don't have like some big attack or something, but you've finished developing.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have to try and make some middle game plans.
Very underdeveloped to me.
Yeah, but that's because it's a
Looks like
passive
queen and
position. The point
bishops
being you've
sort of.
castled and everything except the rooks and the king are off the back rank. That's kind of the main, like, are we developed or not? Make sense? I've lost you on Ninja.
Yeah. No. Okay. No.
Oh
No.
no.
That. So as long as the back. No. You're
Oh,
back.
okay.
You went out for
Okay,
like
okay.
5-10
Yeah, so
seconds.
this is if you move the back pieces, if you move all your minor pieces off, if you put some pawns into the center, either both next to each other or like in this kind of formation or anything, that's perfectly great. If you castle, you get your queen off. This is basically your opening done. Now you still have to try and play the rest of the game, but you've put yourself in a position where you can continue on now because everything is kind of mobilized. Your army is now able to do something. Not yet, but we can get it into the game. So, I mean, there's in this position now. There's some you can consider pushing a pawn here. You can consider pushing a pawn here. You can still jump your knight if you really want to. You'll lose the pawn, but it might be fun to do it anyway. There's a lot to say about like playing a middle game out, but if you can just get all this basic stuff done, every game will be a little bit easier. Your middle game will be a little bit more comfortable. So if you can get that done, I think you'll be well on your way to getting that first kind of goal set out that you were looking at now.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I got. Yeah.
My main takeaway
Yes.
from
Yes.
this
Yes.
is
Yes.
still
Absolutely.
go.
Actually, do you want to play a game and I'll just watch you play? Like I won't say anything. You just play a little bit and then afterwards we can just chat for a few seconds. Or do you think you should rather go feed that cat now? Okay, hundreds. All right, so I'm gonna
I
I'm
think
gonna
I
write this down in the chat here. So play people. Number 2, play longer longer time controls are better. Think more. 3, pawns in center, minor pieces out. Castle king, connect rooks. Develop off the back rank. Yeah, basically that you got. All right. Oh, and then the very last one is analyze
Win.
first 10 moves. Consider what you could have changed. Even there, like if you're going to look at the rest of the game, it's perfectly fine. But even if you just kind of double check the opening, did I put my knights out? Did I put my bishops out? Did I have pawns in the center of the board? Was my king castled? Could I have done it a move earlier? Did I end up moving the same piece like a million times instead? Just double check yourself. Then maybe it'll be a good start.
That is all of it making.
I'm sure when you start playing, you'll be like,
complete
"What?
sense.
What? No, I can't do that now. Everything's different all of a sudden." But anyway, give it a go. Give it a go. Why not? We'll see. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna let you go then. Thanks a lot. This was really, really fun. I'm super excited to kind of see you playing a bit and stuff. Let me know. We can do like a little chat again when you've played some games, and we can go through it together.
No,
But either way, just chat to me like we always do, and we'll see what to do next one.
will do.
Excited,
And obviously,
very excited to
thanks
get
for
you
the
into this,
effort
man. Let's
and-
enjoy some chess together. All right, I'm gonna let you go then. Thank you very much for agreeing to have the chat on live as well. That's always fun.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
chat to you again later when you come back from the
Thanks
cat
for having me.
Sweet.
Indeed, will do. Have a good
I
evening.
will. Thanks a lot, man. Be safe. Chat later.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.